Learn English through stories. Intermediate English. The Elves and the Shoemaker. What if a simple act of kindness could transform your entire life? In this story, you will improve your English while discovering a timeless lesson about hard work, gratitude, and the power of giving back. As you listen and read along, you will learn natural English through a classic tale that carries a meaningful lesson you'll remember long after the story ends. Don't just study English, live it through stories. A poor shoemaker. Hans was a good shoemaker. He worked very hard in his small shop every day. But times were difficult, and he became very poor. He worried about the future and how he and his wife would survive. He was a kind man who always did his best work, even when he felt sad. A kind wife. His wife, Greta, was also very kind. She loved her husband and always encouraged him. "Don't worry," she would say. "We are good people and we work hard. Things will get better soon." They did not have much money, but they had a lot of love for each other. The last leather. One evening, Hans looked at his supplies. He only had enough leather for one last pair of shoes. He showed the small piece to Greta. "This is all we have left," he said sadly. He did not know what they would do tomorrow if he could not sell these shoes. Ready for tomorrow. Hans was a careful worker. He cut the leather pieces for the shoes. He was too tired and sad to sew them that night. He left the pieces on his workbench. "I will finish them in the morning," he thought. He went to bed, hoping for a better day tomorrow. A morning surprise. The next morning, Hans went to his workbench. He was amazed. The leather pieces were gone. In their place was a perfect pair of shoes. The stitching was beautiful, and the shoes were polished. He could not understand how it happened. It was like magic. A happy customer. That same day, a rich woman came into the shop. She saw the new shoes and was very impressed. "These are the finest shoes I have ever seen," she said. She paid Hans more money than usual because the quality was so good. Hans was very thankful for this luck. Buying more leather. With the extra money, Hans went to the market. He bought enough leather to make 2 more pairs of shoes. He felt hopeful for the first time in a long time. That evening, he cut the leather and left the pieces on his workbench, just like he did the night before. The magic continues. The next morning, 2 pairs of perfectly made shoes were on his workbench. The magic had happened again. He sold them for a very good price. The same magic happened again and again for many nights. Soon, Hans was no longer poor. His shop became famous for its wonderful shoes. A good life. Hans and Greta now had a comfortable life. Their home was warm, and they always had plenty of food. They were very happy and grateful for their good fortune, but they were also very curious. Who were their secret helpers? They wanted to know who to thank for this kindness. A Christmas plan. One night before Christmas, Hans had an idea. "Let's stay awake tonight and see who is helping us," he said to Greta. "It is time we thank them." Greta agreed. She was also very curious and wanted to meet the mysterious friends who had changed their lives. Hiding and waiting. That night, they did not go to bed. They hid behind a large curtain in the corner of the workshop. From there, they could see the workbench clearly. The room was dark and quiet. They waited patiently for their mysterious visitors to arrive. Midnight visitors. At exactly midnight, the window quietly opened. 2 tiny elves jumped into the room. They wore old, torn clothes, and their little shoes looked ready to fall apart. They didn't seem to feel the cold as they cheerfully looked around the workshop, ready to work. Fast, tiny workers. The elves hopped onto the workbench and saw the leather. Immediately, they started to work. Their tiny fingers moved with amazing speed. They hammered, stitched, and sewed faster than Hans could believe. They worked together perfectly, without saying a single word. The work is done. In just a short time, all the shoes were finished. They were perfect in every way. The elves placed them neatly on the workbench. Their job was done. Then, just as quickly as they arrived, they jumped out the window and disappeared into the night. A grateful couple. The next day, Hans and Greta talked about what they had seen. They were amazed by the elves' kindness. "Those little workers have helped us so much," Greta said. "They work so hard for us, but they have so little. We must thank them properly." An idea for a gift. "Their clothes are torn, and their shoes are old," Hans said. "I will make them each a tiny new pair of shoes." Greta smiled. "That is a wonderful idea. And I will sew them each a warm set of clothes, a shirt, a coat, and pants. Sewing with love." Greta worked for days. She used the softest, warmest cloth to make 2 tiny shirts, 2 little coats, and 2 small pairs of pants. She was very skilled at sewing. Every single stitch was made with love and gratitude for the kind elves. Crafting tiny shoes. Hans also worked hard at his bench. He used his best leather to make 2 pairs of tiny shoes. He added strong soles and shiny little buckles. He was a master shoemaker, and these tiny shoes were his finest work. He was proud to make them. The surprise is ready. When the gifts were finished, Hans and Greta laid them on the workbench. That night, they did not leave out any leather. Instead, they arranged the tiny clothes and shoes as a surprise. They hoped the elves would like their new things. Waiting for the elves. Once again, Hans and Greta hid behind the curtain. This time, they were not just curious. They were excited. They could not wait to see the elves' faces when they found the gifts. They hoped their surprise would bring the little workers joy. A wonderful discovery. At midnight, the elves jumped in. They ran to the workbench, ready to work. But they stopped in surprise. Instead of leather, they saw the 2 sets of beautiful clothes and shoes. They looked at the gifts and then at each other with wide, wondering eyes. Dressed in style. The elves were filled with joy. They quickly put on their new clothes, smiling as they dressed. The shirts, coats, pants, and tiny shoes fit them perfectly. They looked wonderful in their new outfits and spun around happily, admiring how good they looked. A dance of joy. Dressed in their fine new clothes, The elves were too happy to work. They began to sing and dance. They danced all over the workbench and then jumped to the floor. They danced right out the door and into the night, never to be seen again. Happy and prosperous. The elves never came back, but Hans's good luck continued. He always had many customers. He and Greta lived a long, happy, and prosperous life. They never forgot the two little elves whose kindness had changed their lives forever. What about you? We hope it reminds you that hard work, kindness, and gratitude can change a life in quiet but powerful ways. Think about someone who once helped you when you needed it most. How did their kindness shape your path? What small act of kindness could you give to someone today? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience might help someone see their own life more clearly. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share for more fun English lessons.